This is the ChessDojo Training Program, and make this a little, can't we make this bigger? I think we can. In any case, do this show every week, and we begin with the under 1,000 big graduate show today, and then tomorrow, same time, we will do the over 1,000 crew. So, big show today, some notable graduations. So let's get into it. First of all, we have Dufour Road. I think that's a reference. Maybe I should know, but I don't know what it is. Dufour, tell us something about yourself. Making amazing progress here. Look at that, 183. And, you know, when you think about it, going to 0 to 300 is some of the hardest bit of the program. One crazy idea I just had, it's just floated across my mind as I was like, maybe the Chess Dojo, you know, we have to reorientate our ratings, and maybe somebody can give me feedback here. Would it make sense to, instead of the default rating, or maybe it could even, I'm just thinking like the default rating, especially for the lower cohorts, maybe should be the ChessCom Rapid, because that's what people understand. And for us to say 0-300, they might not really get it, you know. Yeah, that's just a thought. Maybe I'll float that. Definitely for the higher cohorts, the default rating should be the FIDE rating. But I'm just thinking for these people, it probably doesn't make sense when we say 0 to 300. In a certain sense, like given that we use this FIDE thing, we dialed it all the way back. Maybe it doesn't entirely. It would just be how it looks, honestly. In any case, okay. So let's get started. Dosey says that's a good idea. First of all, we need some tactics tests done. So that is something Dufour Road can work on. And then we'll take a look. Clubs, nope. And they just, they joined 928-23, so they've been around a while. It's done a lot of work, dude. A lot of work, and we're expecting to see some games because we have a lot of games here being shown. Okay, that's good. Oh, we got loads. Dufour Road. So Dufour Road is doing the work, and this is great. Yeah, tell us something about yourself maybe at some point. And let's see if I can say something constructive. So this is a 1510. All right, talking a little bit about the opening. I just want to stress it's not time to talk about the opening. And I'm going to mark this as viewed. We're going to do a couple things here. We don't have the time graph, but now let's see. The next thing I want to do is move it over here. Uh-oh. What happened there? Zoop. Is this what we're doing? I think this is what we're doing. And then we go, What's happening here, Baus? Oh, my whole window capture thing just lost its mind. Just lost its mind. Well, wait a second. If I do this one, I know what we're doing. I know how to do it. No, Cry. No. You had a different thing. You had a different thing. This is a disaster. Cry. We can do it this way. It just doesn't work well. Obviously, I needed to do this a little bit better. See, this was my thing. I had a different setup though. Jerk face. I had a different setup. Yeah. Let's try it this way. Okay, here we go. So, voop. We don't need that. I'm going to show, my plan is to show the time graph separately. I have a way to show the time graph separately. You know, I should probably have a template for this kind of thing, but we're working on it, you know, we're working on it. So let's make this large. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay. Maybe someone will show me a little ChessCom logo so they don't get upset with us. They're always so upset with us. Great. Now, Dufour. Usually the default way when you pull a PGN, the PGN just means the notation from a game. When you share it, you can generally, if you share it from ChessCom or Lichess, you can get the times, and that would be helpful for us to see how much time you spent. Okay, Defer is white. Let's give it a look. So far, so good. Now, this Italian book moves. Here you're confusing yourself a little bit. And this is a great example of why we don't want to be learning openings at this stage. In general, not until 1200, according to and that's about 1550 ChessCom. And what you're doing with this Italian C is you're mimicking what you'd be doing against E5. Okay? And so what we'd want you really to focus on at this stage in your career is just saying to yourself, well, what needs to go out? So the candidate move should be D4. We got to move this pawn out to get the bishop out. Then also this bishop, that's not a bad move. That knight can't be a bad move. So I would say from a principled standpoint, those are our three top moves. Okay? This one is a little bit highfalutin, honestly. Your opponent probably should play something like knight f6, d5, continues naturally. Good move. I like that. Not great. And then this one's interesting. A little frisky because are you losing this pawn? Okay, so at this stage in your career, you definitely want to avoid losing stuff. So I would say your candidate moves here should be bishop c4 or bishop d3. One of those moves to get your bad boy out. If you want to move the knight out, this is also a reasonable square. This maybe works, but now you have to calculate this. And then this, and then this, and then this is hanging, right? So not hanging your coconuts is what it's about at this level of the game. I am wearing dojo swag here, buddy. Look at this. I am definitely wearing the dojo swag. I'm all about the dojo swag. Okay. E6. Now, one thing I want you to just see with principles, that he needs to make 2 pawn moves to get his bishops out, right? And he's already made a 1 pawn move to get this bishop out. So this move, loss of time. Okay, frisky. Good move, I like that. And now he's getting himself in a little bit of grief. So queen e7, this is a queen e2. This is a tricky move. And the problem is if he moves his king as he should, or as they should. That was my ice cracking. Well, actually, it's queen e2, by the way, a very tricky tactical move. But I just want to say from a principled standpoint, we are blocking the bishop. So check it out. On king d8, he runs into this thing. That's terrible. And so that means, and knight e7, we're going to see what's wrong with that. And then king f8, I mean, at the bare minimum, it looks terrible for this guy. We could play bishop g5 followed by castles, for example. This, however, is a very nice trick. And now he's toast. And now he's really toast. So great. That was a good annotation. And I like the fact that you're focusing on going over your games. And the only mild critique I have is all this opening mumbo-jumbo stuff, right? But honestly, all totally fine moves. Okay, totally fine moves. Are people having trouble hearing me? Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, pop, pop, pop. It seems like it's okay, but let me know because I can make myself a little louder. Summary Mike says that he can hear. Okay, so that was great. Let's continue. Next up, we have Faugra, who has graduated numerous times, and they say, I changed my rating preference from rapid to classical and opened an account on Lichess. Finally, lost my provisional rating there today and look forward to having opponents who are closer to my own level again. I'm playing lots of games, which is reflected in my pie chart, but I've neglected tactics studies. That's where my primary focus will now be until I feel that I have a reasonable understanding of them. Finally got everyone's first chess workbook and have started to do the exercise. A special thanks to Cross Online for the advice and encouragement generously given, which has helped to strengthen my resolve to keep plugging away. Fantastic. Yeah, Cross Online is a very strong player. It's great that he's helping out. He actually posted a sensei comment saying that the sensei should play against him because he doesn't get to play OTB too much for a variety of reasons, and we should get that going for him. All right, here we go. Boom, Faugra, 73 years young. Nice. Ontario, beautiful. Okay. Now, I just want to say that us old guys, yeah, it's like the tactics is definitely a thing. Interesting that you're mentioning Alzheimer's. I think I mentioned last show that Larry Christensen, famous big time US GM, now older dude, made the claim to be that chess players, and by which he means like people who were once professional or something like that, don't get Alzheimer's. I don't know. Maybe that's just anecdotal. I thought it was a really interesting idea that maybe we could follow up statistically in some way. Okay. It'd be cool, if we could have a narrative. I would like that narrative of, if working on your chess helped prevent Alzheimer's. Interesting question. I mean, we all have cognitive decline anyway, right? So and Alzheimer's is just one form of it. Okay, so 7:57. Faugra is actually ready to go again. Look at this amazing jump. And we want Faugra to take these tests. And let's click around a little bit. Clubs, Canada 50 plus. Nice, I'm in that one. Let's go look. Let's go look real quick at this 50 plus. There I am, Kevin, Faugra, Zone Horse. We got some famous people in here. Okay, this is cool. This club was created recently, so we definitely have a lot more 50 plus people than are, in this club. Okay, activity. We want to go back one to where they were. So 4,600. Oh, they jumped all over the place. So this one's a little bit hard to see what happened because I think they've been jumping around. But you can see this is mostly games and analysis. Great. Let's take a look at Faugra's games here. So this is the most recent one. Lee Chess Correspondence game. Okay, let's see. I'll mark this as reviewed. Do we have, no, we don't have any time because it's a correspondence game. Ooh. You guys, so I blundered a little bit when I was reading his comment. Maybe you saw it anyway, but I'm supposed to switch scenes and I did not, so I'm sorry about that. I will try to be better with that. So here we go. All right. All right. Fine. Fine. Good. Little weird. So not terrible. I'm happy you're getting your pieces out. Maybe just notice that when you put the bishop there, he's kind of staring at a rock. Okay. I like that you allowed him to take. And now your opponent starts to lose time. Yeah. In general, you will find that even past the 1,000 mark, like let's say 1,000 to 1,800, you will have people losing time a lot. And in this position, what then happens, actually, let me just describe this psychologically, is people feel the need to like create a threat instead of fixing their stuff, right? So here, the threat is, oh, I want to take this knight and then take this pawn. But there's a number of ways that black can defend and bring out his pieces at the same time, right? You talk about knight g5, maybe. To me, the knight g5 move would be especially interesting if we can assure ourselves that we have f4 to follow up, maybe, and that, because that would develop our rook. Okay, so a6, poor move, losing a pawn. Okay, so this kind of thing is really important to note, that your opponents are going to lose time, and but they will be making superficial threats, so you have to address it. So candidate moves should be rook e8, rook e8, d6, queen e7 to protect said pawn. So we fall into the trap, They win an important center pawn. And now they come around a little bit. Okay, so white has the advantage. Queen e6. This one I don't like because now you're allowing him to double your pawns. You say, okay. Oh! I have no words to explain what I could have been thinking. And then he lost on time. Maybe he was just like, dude, I'm up a queen. I can't. I can't deal with it. I'm just going to stop. I don't need to do this. Yeah. Okay. And son of a mother is talking about diabetes and sugar. Yeah, I just read this kind of interesting book. I don't know if I'll recommend it too highly. About, it's called The Molecule. And basically all these molecules that mess with us. There's a variety of molecules that can mess with us, especially our brains. You got, well, anyways, I could go on at length about it. But Alzheimer's has got a lot of things going on. It is at least partially genetic. Okay, so Fitzy says, I've been playing. Oh, now Kraai, you need to shift it up, buddy. See, bang. That's what we need to do. Ooh. Oh, not that one. This one. So let's move that. Okay, there we go. Sorry, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more diligent here. Fitzy says, I've been playing quite a few OTB games at my club as they have their club championship going on all summer. It has let me play quite a few classical OTB games as I find it harder to play online games. I've tried to go through the recommended books at a slow but consistent rate. I think the books have been incredibly useful for my progress. Well, that's great. And as you can see, Fitzy's really moving up here. 300 ELO chess tours. No longer 300 ELO. You have gone all the way up. Cool, Canadian. No, that's great. I'm reading a autobiography of Geddy Lee at the moment. We're talking a little bit about growing up in Canada at the moment, outside of Toronto. Okay, so we got no tests. We need some tests, Fitzy. See how you're doing. Clubs. European, White Knights, UK, but Canadian. Oh, he moved to the United Kingdom a year ago. Got it. So it's the wife's fault. So now the White Knights, those people are in Wales. So maybe you're out in Wales too. Yeah, I'm not qualified to talk about Alzheimer's, but I'm terrified of it. I think for chess players, it's especially interesting. I don't mind talking about it though. And I think one of the things I'm curious about is, does chess help stave off Alzheimer's? Is that really a thing? Okay, so here we go. This is the activity. Looking pretty good. What are they doing non-dojo? They're doing a lot of YouTube watching, okay? So otherwise, it looks like a pretty good distribution. And now let's take a look at one of Fitzy's games. So this was played about a week ago. Analyzed anyways, a week ago. All market is reviewed. Do we got times? No times. Okay, now Kraai, this is very importante. You need to switch to this bad boy here. Okay, so here we go. Now it seems like the person annotated is, okay, my favorite opening is Riley. Fine. Fine. Okay. So this is playable, but let's just stress it is not following the principles and is, of course, controversial for two reasons. One, it's an extra pawn move you don't need. And two, you are relinquishing this square. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay, at least they're bringing out their pieces. At a GM level, sometimes you see knight h6 with the notion of playing f5 later. Okay. Holy moly. So, your opponent is either a genius, or I don't know. We'll see what's something's going on. All right, h3. Now, one of the things about playing, let's call it abstract chess at this level, and even at the GM level, honestly, but when you play abstract chess like you're doing, it's hard now for you to play principled moves, even for a GM, and to kind of like have a sense of what's going on. So, for example, what am I talking about? Play would have developed a little more smoothly with knight f3, more fluidly, easier to understand. Also, knight f3, let's just look at it. Just by looking at it, you can tell that's the best move in the position. Okay, so here we go. Now, this h3, he's afraid of knight g4, and, it's a hard position for white. And black now takes, which I'm going to call a mistake. And you write, if he takes, I personally believe that it helps me more than him. I agree. And so I would say at this point, now that h3 has been played, black, now the indicated move for black, to be fancy, is knight f7. Maybe we would see f4. And then black would have a choice of playing what we call the bathtub. This is the bathtub right here. And you sit right there. That's the bathtub. Or he could go for it with e5. And I saw a lot of these positions when I was a kid. Very interesting. And one of the reasons I want to bring up this one is, in general, whoever takes first gets the disadvantage. So we always take back with if he takes, we take back with the pawn. Similarly, if they take, we take back with the pawn. So it's a moment of high tension for both sides. Okay, snip, snap. Now, black has to be concerned that this knight is poor. Good. Okay, I think that's okay. The reason I'm especially okay with it is you're just taking away this square from the knight. A very principled move, of course, would be bishop e3. b8, f5, poor move. I really wanted to push my pawn here, but I think I got a little too excited. Now, let's talk about it. This knight is a huge problem piece, and that's why I ratified the move f4, is because the knight has nowhere to go. The second you play this, though, oh no, he gets this glorious square, and then we're just not going to hurt him anymore. It's a major problem. So, again, when you're playing highfalutin chess like this is some of the weird stuff that can happen. What time is it? It's time to bring out your bishop mouse. That guy's got to come out. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. f5. And here we're in a little bit of a hard spot because the knights are so strong. I don't think you should take. If anything, play g4. And the point is, this pawn chain is at least being annoying to the bishop on c8. Once you take, you release the bishop. And black has a nice choice, honestly, between h takes and knight takes. Personally, I would play h takes because this knight is so glorious, and I'm not sure what the knight is doing on g6. Knight d5. And black plays knight ge5. I don't understand knight d5, though, because can he just e6 us? Now, you might have thought of that as a weakness, but look at all those center squares that he controls. So, reasonable move. It does, yeah, and you're threatening c4. Knight e3, little passive. Knight a5. Now, notice what I said in the previous show. People now get fancy and stop thinking about their pieces. So, if you wanted to attack this pawn, This knight is already glorious. Play bishop e6, right? Play bishop e6 and then ask yourself questions later. Beautiful developing move. Okay, knight a5. Queen c2. The knight is now undeveloped on a5. Bishop e6. And now you played knight f5. Okay. He attacks the pawn again. I am screaming at myself looking back here. Well, this is what happens when you don't develop your stuff. Now, it's still, with his knight on a5, he has done some controversial things. So, knight f5, I don't really get because he's going to win your pawn, no problemo. So maybe rook takes. If he plays bishop takes, we can play b3. Notice, we cannot play b3 because of this business, right? So queen takes, check to the miserable bishop. Now, if he plays bishop f7, we don't lose our pawn. If he takes it, it's a very complicated position, but we at least win the light squares. And yeah, we can imagine not being toast here, you know, because we got these squares and b3 is now actually possible. Is it hectic? Yes. But here we're just down all our stuff. Now, what are you doing? You're playing with your pretty pieces. Note that phrase. You're playing with your pretty pieces. So we have not, we're on move 17. We still have not developed the bishop. One reason we cannot play b3 is because we didn't develop the bishop. This is why I encourage you to forget about the openings and develop your pieces. So, bishop f7 makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't we take the pawn? So bishop f7, rook b1. And here you talk about b3. But right, you would lose your coconut. Now, here's the thing, though. This was a terrible move because now we could take and play b3 and we don't lose our coconut. Now, let me stress something. A big reason why it's so important for black to win that coconut is this knight needs to be active. After b3, he's shut out. No one knows what he's doing, right? Time to go back, lose some time. So rook b1. I don't know. They did all this. Why wouldn't they take the pawn, man? And why aren't you protecting it? That was the point of b3. What are you doing? Good moves. Queen g6 is probably playable. Notice, should be really a positional lesson that how strong that knight is. Now, he is messy. He's playing with fire by allowing like stuff like bishop h6. Okay. Okay. The knights are, it's very hard to crack a position though with the knights like that. Rook d8, passive moves. He wants to play e6. I'm incredibly low on time. In principle, good. Yeah, he's getting a little passive. Good, and good, nice, intuitive move. Okay. He moves his knight and it's all over. I have lost on time in an exciting scramble. Whew, okay. My opponent played in the South Wales International the week before and said this game was a challenge, as challenging as any he'd competed in. Okay, great. Yeah. So, let's say the obvious. If you can forget about openings for a while, until you reach 1200, forget this word English. You're from Wales, buddy. You're in Wales now, okay? Forget that English stuff, and, you know, it's making your life more difficult, right? It's making it more difficult. And then, in particular, I want you to remember why this was a mistake, this f5 move, right? Because that knight's dead. It's a problem for them to solve. But the second you play f5, it's like, oh, man. thing's a monster. So, great job. And we'll go back. And let's go over here. Kraai changes the scene. He's usually going to forget. And, yeah. So, next up we have pose rook. The dojo taught me basic principles in the opening, showing that memorization of an opening is not as important as getting one's pieces out onto solid squares. Thanks, Jesse. Oh, thank you. I wish the dojo had an easier way to set up training partners for classical chess and skirmishing. I'm old, and Discord seems confusing to me. Yet there are never any people in the Discord when I'm trying to find a classical game. If the dojo could help be a matchmaker to help find or assign a training partner, I would find it very helpful. Yeah, this has been a thing that we have struggled with from day one. Two things, actually. The dojo being kind of hard for us old people, and also this difficulty in finding training partners. I totally agree. And we've got various things going on with the matchmaker, but I will say that now I just want to point you to two different things. When you go and look at the calendar, let's go give the calendar a look. You can see all kinds of people who are, this is X, thin line, Alex, thin line. So people who are ready to check your business out, right, to work with you. Now, you have to click on it, right, let's see, and this is from a higher level, right, so I get it, that's not for you. Thin line, a little bit high for you, right? Let's check out Alex, a little bit high. Sid Mandu, a little bit high. Miko, oh, too high. We already looked at thin line. So you can see one way, let's look at Bastos. Bastos also too high for you. So that kind of proved your point right there, didn't it? Now, the next thing I want to point out, besides this resource, you could definitely post your own bookable thing here. The next thing, like when you're available, just put this as a bookable event. The next thing, though, is these tournaments we got going with the Dojo Liga and the Open Classical. Those are great ways to find players of your own level, definitely people who aren't cheating, people who will go over the game with you afterwards. And we are starting to run themed tournaments which relate to the sparring that we have as part of the requirements. Okay, let's go back. Oh, I should have hit right-click that. Oh, actually, it looks fine. It looks fine. So that's Pose Rook. Let's give Pose Rook a click. And we're going to follow Pose Rook. Congratulations on graduating. That's a beautiful chart. We want you to do these tests to figure out where you are tactically. We're going to take a look at the clubs. Tell us something about yourself. Oh, he's in the Baltimore. I had a feeling when I saw the Poe thing. I was like, this dude's in the Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore too. There we go. Yeah. Baltimore and the Maryland Dojo right there. Okay. Oh, wait, let's click on Baltimore real quick. So there I am, beloved bookkeeper. Yep. Pose Rook. Baron. I know Baron. Nice. And Fire Snap. That kid needs to be working. That kid needs to be working. Okay. So let's look activity. Some good work is being done, mostly tactics. And then we're going to look at some games. Here we got one. This was played last year, so I don't know. Let's see what's going on. Market is reviewed. Do we have times? Ooh, and let me just quickly go into the time graph. Okay, hold on. There we go. As you can see, we have a fundamental crime. We have people who aren't using their time. Ooh, in this game, I also have to say, does not have any annotations. So we're not going to look at this game. Pose Rook is playing white here. So at least they use more time than their opponent. My friends, you hear this rant every time. People aren't using their time, and if they did, their results would improve considerably. Okay, let me just see if the other one has some. No, this one's also without annotations. Okay, so let's go back. We're going to get out of this window. That was the time graph window. And here's our grad show window. Okay, so next up is Bestie Boots. Now, Bestie Boots, let's first read Bestie Boots. No new games to review. Oh, come on, Bestie. For my next band, I'm going to take a break from improvement and I'm going to focus on chess as a language and tradition. Lots of times I'll hear names of famous players, openings in historic games, and I won't be able to follow. I'll hear sequences of moves and they'll go flying over my head. Pro players learn in the context of immersion as children, and that's not the reality for a lot of players. I think I'd get more out of chess if I'm able to understand more conversations and actually feel confident enough to do postmortems. Could you recommend some resources to meet these goals? Knowledge of history and how to speak chess. Okay, that's interesting. First of all, no new games. Oh, Bestie Boots. Bestie Boots. So, there are loads of interesting books out there, which I'll call general chess culture. The Chess Queen is a good book about chess history. There's, oh my God, what's the name of that book? I'll come on in a second. I think the book that was created into Searching for Bobby Fischer, eponymous, also called Searching for Bobby Fischer by Josh Waitzkin's dad. That is a great book as well. So those are two books that come to mind. Let's give a Bestie Boots a click. Bestie Boots needs to say something about herself over here, Bestie. Come on now. Come on, Bestie. All right, 8:34. And needs to be doing some tactics tests. And now we got clubs, coders, nice, activity. And we got this. So the last cohort, I don't know, we have no new games. No new games. We want more from Bestie. And let's just see if I've already looked at this game, I've already looked at it. Yeah, so I already looked at this game. So, Bestie. Now, I think it's great that you want to immerse yourself in chess history and tradition. I would say there's two kinds of ways of chess. There's a different kind of chess studies. One you can do on a couch. One you need kind of a board in front of you. And when I read books about chess history, I don't want any problems in there. I hate that. I did a review about the Ink War. And, come on, I'm sitting on the couch. I want to go set up some position, But there's two kinds. And so, one I like to do at the end of the evening. I'm just reading. I read other books too. And then otherwise, I'm sitting right here doing the sweat work. Okay, but congratulations, Bestie Boots. Let's move on to Miami in the 80s. I almost did the theme song to Miami Vice, but I don't think I could quite bring it. Let's read what Miami says. I haven't played rated games in a while, but I'm beyond this cohort's tasks, specifically the tactics. Did the mate in twos and just kept going. I'm at 4,100 of the mate in threes. Doing the mates in my head developed my vision so much. The Yasser and Danya tactics books were a great springboard to start looking at harder problems on ChessDojo and some more advanced books. I bought 2 books, which I look forward to opening every chance I get. Winning Chess Exercises for Kids and Chess Tactics from Scratch. I don't get much in the way of discourse, discussion, or camaraderie in the Discord, but the dojo way of compartmentalizing chess education by level and giving me a rubric to base my own improvement on is what really got me better at chess since I started playing last year. So I can honestly say that I'm happy I joined the dojo because after all, I'm not here to make friends. I came to get better. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to hurt people. Couple basic things. What's definitely happening is you're turning into a book fiend, which is great. But you're also looking at material that's far beyond you. For example, Chess Tactics from Scratch is, I think, in the 1,500 cohort. Winning Chess Exercises for Kids, we almost actually put into the program, but that's also advanced. And of course, the number of mate in twos you're doing is advanced. Now, hopefully, by looking at your profile, we'll be able to say more then about what's going on with your chess. So here, right, you're not playing mini games. Here it's saying you could graduate. Let's follow Miami in the 80s. So, I think he's too young to know about Miami Vice. Might have been born in the 80s, but you know. Yeah. Vesty is too busy. She's helping us, by the way. Yeah. Okay. So here we have kind of yeah. So basically with the preferred rating, dude hasn't played since March. And so Dr. Roxo, Miami in the 80s, it's time, bud. It's time. With all that studying you're doing, you know, I think you're in for a jump. Also, you could test yourself with the tactics test and the checkmate test. You'd probably be well beyond your current rating. So that would help you and me figure out what you need to study, right? And I think, I don't know, you know, what's going on, but you know, studying is great. It should be complemented with playing too. So, New York City, maybe he's in New York City, maybe not in Miami. I just associated Miami. Activity, and we got a lot of stuff going on. What's in the non-dojo? Right, he's doing a lot of all these books that even if they are part of the dojo, they're for later cohorts. All right, hopefully we're gonna get a game here. Done lots of tactics. Let's take a look actually. So we got all these made in twos up to 1471. 1471's where it gets hard. Everyone's first chess workbook, good. That's what really you should be doing. Okay, so let's take a look at some games. And I don't know which one I should pick. This one, the names confuse me here. Some Russian American. Okay, he's a Russian American, I guess. Let's click. No, let's click this one. Just it's more recent. Oh, unfortunately, we are not getting any annotations there. No real annotations here either. We need annotations, Bows. We need some annotations. So you're doing all this work, and the thing that's fundamental right now is you need to play some longer games and annotate them, right? That is what is fundamental for your progress right now. Okay, boom. Next up, we have Teutonic. Let's see what's going on. Oh, what happened there? Oh, there he is. Teutonic has graduated muchos times, also known as Bodine in the Discord. And kind of cool, like you can see, it started off low on the OTB rating, but it's catching up. Look at this, 467. This is some epic progress, my friends. In general, the OTB will, because you're playing a little less, the games at online will take a longer time to reach your goals. But he, as you can see, he's getting close. So, has done the tactics test. That's all looking pretty good, too. Okay, so Teutonic is slaying the program. Okay, so let's take a look. Clubs, no clubs. Teutonic, say something about yourself, bud. And then we're going to go back one. And this is what they did. So we're going to see some games. What are they non-dojoing? Some chess club OTB. Great. Great, great, great. Remember, especially classical games, that is part of the program. So, games. And now we have, okay, let's just click here. First up, we'll see, we'll mark this as reviewed. And then let's switch scenes. Boop. So you can get a better sense if you're following this, what is happening here. Okay, now. Okay, fine. 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 I think I would maybe pin the knight with bishop g4. Fine. Good. Good. Okay. So, good move, bishop g4. Notice the knight on h4 is controversial because if it doesn't take the bishop, then it's misplaced on the side of the board. So I think bishop g4 is a great move. Okay, now let's castle. Good job. I'm not sure that helps him. Definitely don't think that helps him. And now you played a great move, bishop h5. Beautiful. Yeah. So you got a great position. I think he's going to lose a pawn here because he's got two problems. And this is what happens to a person when they play superficially. So, good move. Good. And so look, you've played, I mean, maybe we could say the opponent was superficial or yada yada, but you've put together a beautiful game. And at a GM level, this is a winning position. So, bishop f6. We got loads of moves, bishop c5. I had trouble finding the right escape square for my business. Now, I definitely don't think we should trade. Let's start with ruling that out. We don't want to trade because that knight is dominated by these beautiful pawns. See, they're taking away that square from him, that square, you know, so all the knight squares are taken away, and soon we can dream about rook b8 to put pressure on this bad boy. The boring move I would have liked here is queen f6. Just keeping this battery going, asking white some basic questions. And you were right about that. Another option I did not see in the game. Okay, so bishop c5, they get frisky, knight e4. Fine. They go back. Notice, not the greatest square for the knight, but the knight honestly didn't have too much. Now, let's do something. Knight e4 looks good, but it's actually a complete fail. So, black to move and win, my friends. Look. Pow! Oh no, I'm hitting the queen. Game over. We won a piece. You trusted him. I kind of trusted him too, honestly. I was like, knight e4. Oh, the pawn's pinned. I was like, then I said to myself, maybe we don't trust him. Maybe we don't. Okay. Now, bishop c7, I want you to see that you're a little bit doing what this guy's doing, which is going for a, let's call it a cheap threat. Instead, right, because you're thinking of maybe I'll mate him. Instead of fixing your boys. So what would fixing your boys look like? Rook b8 looks good. e5 looks good. You know, you got a great position, but you want to build it. You don't want to just play with this bishop. Because this bishop, honestly, it's doing great work. Great work. Slow play. Okay. b3. They see it. And now see, what are we doing? We could bring the bishop back to b6 now. Good move. Now, did we take it? Oh, I call this a blunder because I missed de4. Right. So this time, we missed it twice. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Now, this is a mistake. And this is a notable mistake. So, the knight is being dominated by our pawns, and this bishop is doing a beautiful job controlling the dark squares while the pawns control the light squares. So you got it all. I like to think about this as a kind of bricks are here and the mortar is here on c7. So when you play d4, you're going to block the scope of your bishop and give the knight squares. Oh no! So anything would be better. The move that pops to mind here for me would be e5, e4. Put those pawns on the light squares. Oh, he misses it. Definitely knight e4 was better. Good. Okay, now you got some mean pawns. I don't know. Let's play e4, bud. Okay. e4. Now e4. Oh, man. Yep. Now, besides just the idea of the fork, he's not going to actually lose the knight right away. But look at this. We expand the scope of our bishop. Everybody's cruising. You know, we're doing great. So this is an example of a superficial threat. Queen c6, now he's going to mess with you a little bit. Good move. Okay. Helping you by taking. He should definitely try to mess with you instead of taking. Now you say the game turned in white's favor. Well, it's true that white has improved their lot considerably, but I don't think we should say that it's gone in their favor. Rook e8, f4. And now you want to do a trick with him with bishop c5. Again, you're just being a little tricky. So the key question is, how do we feel about this? Bam! And it's a very difficult decision for black, or for white, excuse me. Because if he does this, we got a couple moves that are interesting, but the natural f6 comes to mind. So that when he pushes past, we are just going to go gobbling. Now, is it easy? I don't know. We have other moves too, but this looks pretty basic. And then he has to also decide, oh, am I cool? Am I cool with a rook trade? Well, we kind of need to calculate it out. Now it's hot. It's hot. Now, intuitively, you know, at least our king is better, but it is hot. Okay, there's all kinds of things going on. A3 is a candidate move as well. Could be dangerous for us. Maybe A3 is the better move. So that's the kind of thing that we should consider. We don't have to take the pawn with rook takes e5. Bishop c5, though, white's definitely better. King g2, good move. Now knight d3. Notice that you've put all your pawns on dark squares. And it's going to be a bummer because the white's just going to come up and talk to us. Okay. Good move. I wasn't sure about about g4, honestly. Good. I don't like that move. Good. Oh, he's blowing it now. Oh, yeah. Run, daddy, run. All of a sudden, the tide has turned. Look what happened. He let you in, buddy. And now you play bishop d4. Well, let's state the obvious. The natural move would be d2. I think that forces king f1. Then we play here. Dude, they play here, and we say, good night, Lucy. Good night. Because he's going to run out of moves. And once they run out of moves, the king moves, and then I come in. Holy moly. Oh, baby, that's a nice endgame. Okay. So, we're still doing great. It makes me nervous that we gave away the a pawn, though. Because he could... Can he take it now? Yeah, he can take it. The king is in range. I don't know why we're not... I want to protect that pawn. That doesn't make any sense to me. Good move. And now, well, king c2, boss. Let's do it. Did you do it? Yes, sir. Check to the miserable king. Yeah, king e2. But, right, as you said, the pawns are going to fall. This is definitely winning. We have to be a little careful because this pawn is on the wrong color. So if he somehow traded off this guy and we were left with the h pawn, we wouldn't be able to win. Let's see how it goes. He just hands it to you. Probably is lost, but let's just show that it's a little tricky here. So king f3, I don't think you need to worry about king g4 because it can't get in there. So here, oh yeah, this is tricky. King e4, king over, king here. And you see what my grief is, right? Black, need to find a way to stop the counterplay against the pawns. It is not simple. Whew, maybe here, here, here. So that if king f7, I run like the wind to be free again. Okay, Kraai, a little bit over the top. I'm just trying to express this is the kind of thing that we can analyze in our games, and we will get better when we do so. I personally have had all kinds of endgames like this, and yeah, it's hot. I guess we need to check them. Then maybe the pro move is here. See if I can get in. I get in. Bishop g7, and what do I want to do? I want to trade that bad boy off. Bam! See, so that's the kind of garbage I'm talking about, and that's the ultimate fear for black, because we cannot win this position. Holy moly! Yeah, very instructive endgame. If you just imagine the king here, there's no way to push him out without stalemating him. Okay, great. Let's go back. Boom. That was Teutonic. Now we have Tom Mayers. Tom says, I was stuck at 800, 900 Chess.com Rapid for a long time. What got me here was simply thinking, why am I not improving? I realized that it was because I had the mindset that I was better than my ELO, so I just played and expected to go up. I wasn't looking to find the best move. I simply expected my opponent to play poorly. I did not put any effort into my game. Once I changed this, I was able to improve. Well, that's a good story. Here, Craig, I need to drink. Okay, so this is Tom. 922, looking great, look a great graph. Got 2 checkmate tests in. Notice we got these dots. I'm really pumped about our dots. That shows that he's done 2. And we got clubs, no clubs. Tom, tell us something about yourself. Activity, hasn't been putting stuff in, maybe? Oh, Tom, give us some games, buddy. Come on. This is called the game shame. I'm giving you the game shame. Okay. Cross that line. Thank you for being here. So Jorge says, definitely feel like my improvement has slowed down. Most of it is consistency. I've not been working as consistently as I did in the first few months after I started the dojo. But also I feel like as my rating has progressed, I'm getting more evenly matched. Logical. I used to win 80% and I'm winning 55% of my games. I guess that's a good thing that my rating reflects my actual skill. But it definitely makes for harder games. Absolutely. Right, Jorge was flying for a while. There's a lot of people who come in and fly, and then there's going to be at some point it gets hard. But look at that. That's in general what a progress should look like. And right, Jorge, I suspect will still continue to progress, but you can see it's starting to flatten out a little bit, right? It's gotten a little harder. We got some checkmate tests, tactics tests. Great. Want some more of those. That all indicates that Jorge is above his level for where he is in terms of playing. SF Bay Area, the spiritual home of the dojo. All right, so let's take a look at what Jorge did. And it was a lot of playing and analyzing. Good. Let's take a look at one of these games. Pop. Okay. Now, Kraai is going to switch scenes. We'll mark it as reviewed. We'll go over here. And the first thing we'll say, is show this time graph, is you can see that neither player was really thinking in this game. It's typical. It's not the exception to the rule. It is the rule, especially at the lower cohorts. Okay, so Let's take a look. Fine so far. Bishop b5. Fine, you're developing. Okay. 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 Good. Okay. Now, that's actually a blunder, and he finds bishop d5. Right. So, white, let me just say, white's development doesn't make the most sense, and they're just playing for some kind of trick. So, imagine your job is to identify the trick, and I would say that's a pretty high-level trick for this cohort, right? Because it's 2 pins, 1 pin and 2 pins. I don't like that move at all, okay? Because this activates your bishop, and now it's very strong. Okay, I don't like that one because you can push him at any point with b4. Okay, that's frisky. I kind of like it. So now what I liked about it was at least this pawn now is controlling the knight. And your bishops, you could argue, are compensation for your lost pawn. Knight e4, I definitely don't like that. I want to play bishop e7 and say, no bishop for you, buddy. See, also you gave him the square. All right, so let's take a look at this mistake for a second. This pawn is dominating this knight, right? And we don't want the thing to move. So if we go back, you can see both knights are kind of in control. Soon we'll put something like this, maybe something like this, right? F5 not only gives him the bishop, but more importantly, gives that knight a big fat square. He takes it. Now, what is that? That's called a superficial threat, like we're saying. Back it up. That's your beautiful dog. He snips. F3 would be a very reasonable move here. Might look like a weakening, but in fact, it's going to blunt the bishop. And the claim here is simply that the knight is a monster. However, what he did was also good. He's got the he's got the extra pawn plus the better king. Reasonable move. Reasonable move. Good move. Now, okay, I guess we had to do it. Now, because F7, he can't do queen F7 because of the pawn on G2 hanging. Personally, I like rook G3 a little bit better in this position than what he did. Good move. Not sure I understand. And that looks superficial. The rooks aren't going to be crushing anytime soon. Good move. Weird move. What are we doing? What are we doing? So, what white should be focusing on is the fact that these rooks are offsides and finding a way to start pushing the coconuts. In fact, probably right away is pretty good with d5 takes and rook e5 doing great, or rook d1. Either way, we're coming in and we're going to bust through the middle. That doesn't do it, though. Not sure I understand that. Good move. I don't understand queen e7. Now queen f5 might work. Yeah, you found it. Good. Queen f5 still works. They're obsessed. White's wrongly obsessed with mating you, but you have committed all your resources, namely your rooks, to that side of the board. So white should take that off for hint to be like, oh, I should go to the other side. Now, something that just has got to be said. I am talking about this game longer than these guys actually thought about it. They were moving instantly. They thought this was all super simple. Would they have found queen f5 if they had thought about it? The chances are high. The chances are high. Okay. So, right, black is losing their mind, trying to create something, and there's not much going on. Rook c5, it's going to be dangerous, yeah. Rook e4, good move. I like that a lot. Trying to get frisky over there. Check to the pawn. Rook a7. Now notice, white is playing without this rook. They're just like forgetting about it. Okay. F4. That's a poor move, and now you find a very good move with rook e2. And I think they're hosed. So what we got to say, actually, Jorge, is all of your activity on the king side eventually paid off because white didn't know how to play with their pieces. And what I would say to them is this famous thing that has served everyone well, which is action on the wing, as you were doing, was met by action in the center. He should have punched through with d5 when you were hanging out over there. So this is nice. And what I like about it is, you were this pesky mosquito around his king until he eventually cracked, because he didn't crack you. So nice and well done. Here, and we'll go back. This is Alyssa Mint Chip. So Alyssa Mint Chip, and doesn't say anything to us. And here we go. Alyssa Mint Chip has graduated several times. Look at that recent one. Boom! Flying up there. Skyrocketing. We got some tactics tests and the checkmate test. Brilliant. And as you can see, Alyssa has got a tactics rating higher than her game rating. So, U.S. evening, beautiful activity. Let's go down one. And this is the 800, 900. Lots of work. What are they doing non-dojo? Tactics and coaching, okay? I don't know if that means Alyssa's coaching or is getting coached, but that's kind of nice to see. Either way, let's see if we get a game from Alyssa. Alyssa Albertson, me versus friend. Let's choose the most recent one. OTB event. Ratings are USCF. Great. So, no times. It's kind of normal. And Kraai is going to switch it up over here. And here we go. Good move. Good move. Okay. This surrenders the center. Good. Oh, good. A dominant center completely rooted in black's misplay on move 2. Okay, this is pretty highfalutin stuff. So I would say, yes, we have a nice positional advantage. Good move. Okay, good. Poor. But it was already a little bit difficult for them to move. E6 would have been a more tenacious move from black. Okay, losing more time. And you say, Alyssa, I'm loving these notes. And this is what you write. Calling this a positional blunder, although I don't lose material. It would have been more accurate for me to simply trade on c6. I wanted to have my opponent trade on my terms, and so I retreated the bishop to a square where my queen would develop on the recapture. So, let's talk about it. Now, this is going to be a little bit highfalutin for where you are, okay? But let me just expound for a second. You are up in time, and also critically, you are up in space. And the thing that we should see is all of these pieces are pretty chumpy. They're not really going anywhere. So maybe takes on c6, but I would much prefer bishop e2. Because if you trade, this bishop suddenly is doing something. Even if you whack it, it gets to do something. And then e6 will come next. So one of the things to see about your comment here with d4 is I agree, and I know the computer would probably agree with you here too, that you have a clear advantage. But notice what the challenge is. You have more space, and when we have more space, we want to try to dominate the pieces. So, and it's hard. It's very hard to do. Even players over 2,000 have a hard time playing with space. I have a hard time playing with space, using it effectively. And so the key thing here is no trades. These guys are chumps. I would rather play bishop e2. Now I'm threatening to pop this guy. I want to bring out my pieces. I want to say these guys aren't doing anything, right? They're not doing anything. I don't want to touch those fools. Okay, so here we go. It's definitely, you're right calling this a mistake, right? That knight on b6, that was a terrible piece. Now, that one, I don't know, knight e5. You're just going to go back, and now you're up in time. You're still up in time. You could have left the queen on a4. e6, okay. Now, knight c3. I'm fine with knight c3. Maybe I'll just point out that queen g3 is a standard way to mess with black, preventing the natural development of their bishop. Good. I love you're just playing simple, strong chess. Queen c8, no bueno. What should they do? They should castle. d5. While complicated, this is definitely what we want to do from a principled perspective. The issue, though, with d5, I want you to see, this has everything to do with controlling your opponent's pieces, is that you are releasing this bishop. Now, I get it, you probably missed the tactic of bishop g4, but more importantly, let's just say, oh, that bishop, we don't want to let out. We just don't want to let it out. Also with d5, what I want to say is, it's not really clear to me, like if it was your move here, how you would use this d5 move. Like, it looks right, and like, you do want to open the position because you're up in time, but it's not clear that that's what we want in this position. Okay, so you could ask yourself, well, Kraai, well, what should we do? And you got a number of moves. One would be admitting that this rook would have probably been better on fd1 and just put the rook on c1 opposite the queen, avoiding some bishop d4. It's sad, though, because you've already done that, right? Another move, it's a little bit more, let's call it space motivated, would be h4 with the intention that if they castle, we claim that Harry the h-pawn is a valuable dude, and I kind of think he is. Okay, now you're asking me, Kraai, what about the taking? Well, then we play here, and we have some good play before they castle. We would love to prevent them from castling. Okay, taking, frisky. What's the safe move for black? Probably just castling. So, frisky, and now this happens, and you play a very nice tactic. Bam! Now, what I want to say about this is black deserves this absolutely, because what have they done? They have forgotten to develop their pieces on multiple occasions. a6, bishop d7, queen c8, not developing moves. What happens when you play someone in the dojo? They're going to whack you like this. King f8, probably best to just take it. And queen f4, very nice. Snip. And now you say snap. Now, I think snap is okay, but let's just think about snip. On snip, one nice thing is, at a minimum, we have this move. And so we will win the rook. And it's kind of a hard life. Kind of a hard life here. So imagine, let's just say g6 to try to bring the king in. I'm just doing this as an example. Oh, queen lost. And you could tell him, welcome to the dojo, when that happened. So that's, you know, what's going on. And just positionally, there's the threat of snip, snap, and then bring the bad boy downtown. You know, really rough. Okay, so knight a8, bishop e2. Good move. But that doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. Queen d5, nice. f6, forced. Okay. Now, let's think about this. You're winning on every measure here, okay, after f6, because his king is so weak. What you do now, though, is you trade everything out, and you help black's pieces get active. Like this rook, you're inviting it in because you're going to take and stop, right? By contrast, if we just move the queen somewhere, and I mean kind of literally anywhere, let's put it, I don't know, here. They got to move the queen, and then we're going to bring this big bad boy over here, and it's not going to be pleasant for a peasant. Notice that black owes us time in figuring out how they develop their coconuts, right? Okay, so this helps black get out of dodge. Now, there's a little highfalutin too. Black should definitely trade. And the point is, when we get to these pure bishops of opposite color positions, black will be very hard for us to win. And the reason is that the pawns, the passed pawns, which will eventually be created, so let's say this one. Let's say you give him a passed pawn. Just imagine that guy being a passed pawn. How does that pawn progress past, say, the e6 square? No one knows. You hold that square. You own that square. There ain't no progressing past that square. Now, with the rooks on, you have substantially more chances to mess with black here. F3, I like that move a lot. Put the pawns on white, bishop on black. They should play rook d1. Superficial threat, I'm hoping you played king f2. Good move. Rook d1. Now they're in big trouble. Let's hope you played rook c7 check. Nice. Yep. Yeah, it's a choice of which one to gobble. Personally, I like this gobble. I like that gobble, but your gobble's pretty good too. Okay. That's some gobbling. Good move. They missed that. So, and this is white ended with 2, black with 10. Let me just share my theory. This is an OTB game, I believe. And one of the things I'm noticing is that when people play online, you get what we often see in these time graphs where people aren't thinking. And OTB is just it's a different atmosphere. You know, people are using their time. Okay. And you're right, Oski boy. There was a simpler way. You're absolutely right. Could just play king e2. Good, well spotted. I'm just so happy to get that rook on the 7th rank, you know. Boom. Also, we could also play this one. Bam! We're going to win a full piece here, too. Okay. Good game. Great annotations. I'm really pumped to see good annotations. I believed him. I did. So, Pug Chess is next. This is our last for the day. Pug Chess says, I'm having fun doing the work, albeit sporadically. I really like the Polgar mates. The most important advice for me so far has been to slow down. That's correct. So, 957. Looking great, Pug Chess. That's a nice little picture. And we got 1 tactics test. I'm sure their rating will be higher once they do some more. So, beautiful here. Clubs. SF Bay Area, spiritual home of the dojo. Activity. So, we got this going on. Lots of endgame work. Okay, looking good. So, games. Oh, Pug Chess, you break my heart. You break my heart. Now, before I do anything else, let me go look at what Kostya's saying here. So, let me just ask, are you ready to come on? ? They're going to be doing some fancy show. And so, if they're going to come on anyway, I don't want to raid anybody else. You know, we only got 25 people watching, so it ain't too much. Actually, it's got to be said. But anyways, he's about to be doing a show pretty quick. You know what I get? I get to play one game. Just one. I get to play one game. Yeah, just one. I drink this delicious coffee.